Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Master Phil in your corner with your host, Master Phil.
All right. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Here we are, Master Phil with Master Phil in your corner. And I have a new sidekick here, someone that we know very well, but first time as the producer on our podcast today. We have the lovely and talented Connor McGregor. Say hello to the crowd, Connor.
Hey everybody, great to be here.
All right. Here we are at our Undefeated Media Studios in lovely Wyckoff, New Jersey. And today we have a couple of great guests, guys I've known for a heck of a long time. One of them is a repeat offender. A repeat guest, and that would be Joe Rubino. He's sitting here right next to me. And, I know he's never going to say this stuff, but I will. He's a two-time North American champ, boxing and kickboxing. Incredible background. Has always tried to make himself better in the martial arts, more knowledgeable. He's also, I believe, a 7th degree in Nisei Goju. A ton of accolades. And I will tell you this, and I will unequivocally say that he is the best boxing coach I've ever seen or ever worked with. Talk about the science of boxing, the sweet science of boxing. This guy has it. History, science, angles, techniques, strategies, you name it. I know that I'm embarrassing him, but you know what? I've learned so much from this gentleman, and I've gotten, my boxing game has increased dramatically, because of him. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And then a good friend of mine from a long time ago, Mike Melandra, is sitting next to Conor McGregor over there. Now, Mike is a longtime black belt. As a matter of fact, we got our black belts around the same time and sparred with each other during our respective black belt tests.
This is true. Yes.
Mike is the owner of Melandra's Martial Arts in Suffolk, New York, and he also has the distinction of being a longtime bodyguard of Dice Clay.
Yes.
Yeah.
26 plus years.
So welcome, guys. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
And, before we get into this stuff, guys, we have to thank our sponsors, because without the sponsors, none of this would be possible. We have philross.com. Go there for all your online training needs, philross.com. We also have a bunch of different products there. We have Fit Team, so you can get in shape and drink and stay hydrated. And you'll notice I have the product placement here right on my desk. We also have the Kettlebell Workout Library, as well as the Secrets of Kettlebell Training, as well as Survival Strong, and many other things available on philross.com. In addition to that, we also have Health is a Wealth. Now, if you are a fitness expert, a health professional, be sure to log in and get your free membership there. If you want to up the membership, feel free to contact me and we'll get you set up with a gold subscription there. And also, anyone else can join that site for free. Health is a Wealth. It's a virtual, interactive community outreach platform revolved around health, wellness, mental, physical. We got it all. Addition to that, we have the Bodybell Method, bodybellmethod.com. We have a brand new in-person certification going on in Denver, Colorado at Lux Strength. So I'll be appearing at Lux Strength on July 30th and 31st and conducting both levels 1 and 2. Oh, the cool thing about this too is if you're an ACE or a NASM certified instructor, you get the CECs, the continuing education credits, by taking this course. So be sure to sign up at bodybellmethod.com or just PM me. We also have Z Winning Mindset training. I've recently been recruited by them, and I'm doing mental mindset training seminars and one-on-ones and so forth for them. So I have my group of wrestling and martial arts clubs that I visit, and we discuss mindset. We should talk about that for your facility as well.
That would be great. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And, so I'd like to come in there too. So we can talk about that offline. It's great. It's fantastic. The mindset training goes along directly with what we're doing, and actually the subject we're going to be speaking about today. But before we get into our martial arts for the school subject, I like to keep these things like topical. even though one has nothing to do with the other one, but I should talk about what's happening personally. And I don't know how many people have dealt with the IRS. Okay. It's one of the most horrific things I've had to deal with. They've owed me money since 2020. Okay. And heck, when you owe them money, you're getting hounded and pounded. But these guys, they make it so difficult. So finally in September, they sent me this, after calling up, say, hey, where's my refund? You guys owe me a lot of money. Well, you know what? They sent me a form. Says, well, we want to make sure it's you because of the amount of money. Okay. So because we avoid fraud. So I know, right? They don't bother me. When I owe them, they have no problem. So I fill out the form, do everything, right? Send it in. They said, okay, once it's sent in, you should, get your check in 9 weeks. I'm like, okay, cool. So, I called them up. Yes. And of course, if you ever try to reach them via phone, it's, you better be prepared for several hours. So they said, yeah, everything's in. Okay, great. So then January, I'm like, well, where is this? My accountant called and said, well, it's under review. Okay. Why? What was the point of this paperwork? So long story short, I could not get through to them. It's getting very, very difficult. And finally today I set aside some hours. I got on the phone at 8 o'clock this morning with them. I got off at 11:15. I had to change. I was using my landline portable phone. I had to change the portable phones because I ran out of battery. Is that insane? Okay. And I was afraid to hang up. So I had to run upstairs, get the other phone, plug the other one in. It was nuts. And then I wanted to keep the other phone free because I was doing stuff online with them as well. And I had to do this verification where I had to upload my passport, my birth certificate, my driver's license, right? I talked to some guy on the phone and then, okay, you've been verified, get all that stuff. And then I had to go through, you don't even want to know how many different phone numbers and phone calls I had to make during this time. And this person switched to that one, the other one, right? But I wouldn't give up. And they said, well, you also have to be verified via phone. So not only did I had a video chat with this guy, and I had to upload all my stuff. I had to hold it up. I had to hold it up in my hand. Okay. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Then I had to get this other information. I had to go back to my prior years and read information off of my tax return from prior years just to get my money. And I still didn't get it. They said, well, you'll have it within 60 days.
The check's in the mail.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What insanity. Okay. Thank God, I was able to actually get some work done while I was on hold for all these times because I was grading my online students. So at least I got to do something. But gosh, what if you're in sales? What if you're a truck driver? What if you're operating heavy equipment? How are you going to get this done? It's impossible. It's impossible.
Maybe you should introduce a course how to deal with the IRS in the school system.
That's an idea.
Teach them something. Yeah.
The system is designed that way.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's designed to keep us down and keep our money. That is our money. It's not they're not giving me their money. That's my money that they took from me. And obviously under false pretense. So now let's dive into the subject today because we have so many things going on in these schools. You look at it right now. Right? We have school shootings. We have incredible rates of suicide, self-harm, gender dysphoria. You name it. Oh, by the way, the education is dropping. Our performances get dropped every year. We are ranked, last time I checked, we were ranked number 38 in math and number 24 in science worldwide. And that was prior to COVID. So I'm sure it's probably worse than that right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrible. And we used to be number one. I know when we were in school, we were in tops in the world. Top in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're at the bottom of the barrel. Especially for as far as developed countries go, as far as developed countries go, we're way low on the list. And, this is, it's endemic. So, we have to come up with some solutions for this, because this is the future of our country. This is what this is who's supposed to look out for us when we can't look out for ourselves anymore, right?
Better keep training.
Got to keep training.
Better keep training.
Yep. So, I mean, we work out every day, right, guys? We were talking about this. We always talk about it. So, but what are other than us taking care of ourselves? I don't want to leave this planet worse than it was when I was here. And I know that you guys feel the same way.
Well,
we got to leave that positive influence. We have to leave something that's going to help people build on a future and continue. So what is our legacy? So we want to make sure that goes forward. So I know we discussed this many times and about putting martial arts in the schools. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you think we should be doing to move that forward? Let's talk about some of the positives. Let's talk about some of the positive martial arts, because people, I think nowadays, just when they see martial arts, they think of MMA.
Yes.
Which I love. I love MMA. I've loved it from the beginning. And, I was doing some type of variation of this back in 1981 before anybody else was doing any of this stuff. I'm sure other people were doing it as well, but we just kind of came across it organically.
Mm-hmm.
I was trained with my martial arts instructor down at Maryland, and it was 1981. And here we are, maybe it was 80. Whatever. Anyway, so we're sparring, and he was a good striker. He was a black belt, trained. I think he had black belts in 2 systems. So he was outpointing me. We were playing some. We were hitting each other reasonably hard, but he's outpointing me. I was like, you know what, that kick, that does nothing. I'll grab that kick and take you down. and so then he goes, okay, let's fight like that. So we just decided like that. So then we started incorporating takedowns. So here we're kicking, punching, doing takedowns, choking each other. And we started doing that in 1981.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, then not all of a sudden, 12 years later, it's on a pay-per-view,
right?
Stuff that we were doing. But, and I remember when I was first teaching, it was like, oh, mixed martial arts, they look down on it. Now it's what people think of martial arts, but there's much more to martial arts than just what you see in the cage.
That's just the surface. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, some of the benefits that we get for the martial arts, especially for kids. Let's talk about it in terms of children.
Well,
okay.
Well, first of all, the 3 most influential people on children during the period of time when they are mostly influenced are their parents, their teachers, and their coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So martial arts can have a tremendous impact if they have the right instructor. Just like they have to have the right coach on a soccer field or on a baseball field. So it's a tremendous influence on them. And what does it bring? It can bring discipline, respect for authority, respect for others, teamwork. We can go on, right, Mike? I mean, there's just...
Well, one of the things I see is this lack of the physical contact. Okay, kids go home and they play these video games. And they're blowing people up, killing people on them. They don't realize that, when you get hit, it hurts, right? And you can do damage.
It's not a video game, yeah.
It's not a video game. This is real life. And I think it desensitizes kids too much, by having these video games where they don't really understand the violence that they're engaging in and the repercussions of this violence.
Yeah. I think that's very true, yeah.
Well, that's also the cell phone age. Beginning of all my classes, I sit my younger students in a circle, and everyone has 30 seconds, a minute to talk about their day. Yeah. Anything, positive, negative, talk about anything you want. So one of the girls in my class, 7 years old, not quite 7, going on 7, says to me, we were talking about verbal conversations with people. Right. And she says to me, Sensei Mike, I don't have to do that. I have a phone. I text. And I said, well, Lexi, I said, okay, I understand that. I said, that's a great thing. I said, but when you're not in the room with somebody, you don't have the contact with them. You don't have the visual. You don't have the emotion behind what's being said. Right. So she says to me, she goes, oh, yes, I do. So I said, well, how's that possible? She goes, we have emojis. So I said, okay, it's time to start class. Everyone line up. Let's go.
You see, this is the thing that we're battling right now.
Yeah.
And cell phones, social media, these type of things are very attractive to children. And unfortunately, they are part of the process of raising our children. And social media has has in some aspects taken the place of a parent.
Yes.
And people got lulled into this by, hey, you know what? My kid is my kid's crying in the back of the car. Give him this iPad, right?
Give him this video game.
Yeah, give this video game to play. And then in the schools during COVID, everything went digital. Right?
Yeah, everything was on the screen.
Everything's on the screen. So this is their comfort zone. But the detriment of this, what's the downside? What do we see? We see all those things that we discussed in the beginning. Increased suicide, increased drug use, separation, okay, inability to resolve conflicts. I mean, there's so many different things. The drop
desensitization to murder and killing and violence in general. See, we have a mental health problem in this country. People don't realize this.
Yes.
If you go back to World War II, most of these guys came back with their guns, right? They came back with their guns and souvenirs from the Germans or the Japanese, whatever. And many of them had PTSD, but was there anyone going around doing mass shootings in the 50s?
No.
Early 60s? Nobody. It's because we have a mental health problem here today. Don't blame the guns. Nobody went and put charges against the rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald used. Yeah. Right? It was Lee Harvey Oswald who shot it. It's not the gun. We have a mental health problem. And that's what has to be fixed in this country right now.
Oh, 100%. Because if you look at it back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, there were more guns per capita in this country. And yet, where were the mass shootings?
Right.
Where were the mass shootings? Okay, we're gonna look at this mental health issue. Why? Well, how is this occurring now? What is happening to increase the mental health? And I brought this up before, that virtually every single mass shooter was on some type of SSRI.
Wow.
Some type of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Are these things being distributed or prescribed too soon? Okay, and why are they being prescribed? Why are people so, why are they so upset? Why are they so anxious? We are born with the fight or flight instinct, and I will also put freeze in there when you're confronted. Fight, flight, or freeze.
Or freeze, yeah.
Right. So, but when you're in regard to the fight or flight, we were made to deal with stress and anxiety and conflict. And if you're not getting that, like if you're not being chased by a lion and you're not releasing these, these endorphins and releasing your adrenaline and so forth, well, it's got to come from somewhere. You got to release it somehow. Right. So unless you're working out, unless you're training, you're not going to release this. And this stuff will manifest, and we will create our own dangerous situations. So, this is something that has to be, addressed. I mean, we look at these people who commit these heinous acts and look at their common elements. It's what? Mental health, right? So how do we address this on the school level? One of the best things is the martial arts. And the thing is that, unfortunately, sometimes martial arts has this negative connotation. Oh, violence. Okay. You know what, though? I will tell you this. A true warrior knows what happens during war, so they try to avoid
it. Right.
And this is the notion that we have to get beyond. So, I want to put forth that there's something for everyone in the martial arts. Okay. If someone likes to fight and likes physical contact, what can they do, Joe, in the martial arts? What are some of the things they can do?
There's, like you said, there's a great span of martial art, different types of martial arts. There's different types of those that get involved in more contact, less contact, traditional martial arts, and there's something for everybody. The problem, I think, arises with, and I think it's a tremendous idea to have martial arts in the school. Here's one of the issues. Today, anybody can go pick up a black belt at a martial arts studio, at a martial arts supply place, and put it on, buy a gi, and go open up a martial arts studio.
Yep.
No background check. No certification.
Yep.
No background, and that's a real problem, because now you've got people out there opening up martial arts schools. Number one, they're not qualified. Number two, they may be perverts. Look how many martial arts instructors have been arrested over the years for problems, right? Like that. So there's a problem to control. So now when you go to the school systems, how do you find these qualified martial arts instructors, and how do you qualify them?
Good point.
If we can't qualify them when they're opening up martial arts schools right now, how do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, well, there's years ago there was a panel. Yeah, we tried to put it together, right?
Yes, yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mel Klein was, yes.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. And the problem is that what happens is that you have a who's going to set the standard.
Exactly.
And the egos in the martial arts. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Egos in the martial arts are so huge.
Yeah. Don't tell me I can't buy a black belt.
Well, so, but everyone thinks their system is the best, and they should just listen to say that, just understand mine is the best, and we just have to do it my way. But that's what everybody thinks.
That's what everyone thinks. Yes.
Everybody thinks, everybody thinks the same, but there has to be some type of governing body. And the thing is that the only way to get this done is to have it like a body of 12 or something.
Yeah. Well,
or Supreme Court 9.
I was telling Connor, we were talking about this before we started the broadcast there, but how do you do it? We tried it. It was Mel Klein. He even got Larry Hazard involved.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was in the meeting.
Yeah, me too. And you got people from different styles like Taekwondo saying, "Who are you to tell if I'm certified in Taekwondo? Do you have a black belt in Taekwondo?" And you go back and you say, "Look, I may not have a black belt in Taekwondo, but I can tell somebody is a black belt. I've been around a long time ago. I can tell if they have the skills of a black belt." And even if you don't want to go down that path, how about background checks?
Yes.
How about showing me you have a curriculum? How about interviews? Let's interview. They wouldn't buy it.
I think the other aspect also is what you're saying, Joe, and on top of it, I find in my community is schools don't also have a budget for it.
Yeah.
And
they're too busy spending on the
exactly
stuff.
And a lot of the stuff I do in my community in Suffern, I do through the police department. I go in with the Suffern Police Department under their DARE program, and the teachers get to know me and they call me back. And we're talking about all this ego stuff, Taekwondo, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever the system is. But I think what people fail to realize is the system is physical, but the mental aspect is that governs
everything.
All of it.
Yep.
So who cares whether you kick, punch, block, throw, choke? I mean, that's important. It's not who cares, but it's the mental tool.
Exactly.
That's because to kick, the punch, the block is like shooting a basketball. It's like kicking a soccer ball. It's like hitting a tennis ball. And that's just another physical added to the gym phys ed curriculum. Yeah, it's the mental aspect that we bring to the table. And I think that needs to be the component that needs to be pushed if this is ever going to get to that level in the school system.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like when my dad was in World War II. He was underwater demolition, I told you. He was, and he always said to me, they should, in the United States, make it mandatory to go into the military.
Yes.
I agree. And he said 2 years in the military. He says you learn discipline, you learn respect, you learn respect of authority, you learn patriotism. And he said that should be mandatory. If you don't want to do it, find another country. That's what he used to say, right? Well, those things that they teach in the military that you learn from the military, it's the same things you get from martial arts.
Yes, you get in the dojo,
If you get a good instructor, if you have a good instructor, right?
Yeah, it's a paramilitary organization. Why? You have structure, you have a hierarchy, you have discipline, you have focus, you have goals. You have to achieve one thing before you get to the next level. Okay, so that structure is what's missing in society today. There is no structure. They pick up the phone, they get on their tablet, and they start zipping around the internet. And who knows where it takes them? Who knows where it goes?
And they took away some of the goals, Phil. Now everybody gets a trophy.
No, right.
Everybody makes the team.
Everybody.
I know.
Everybody. Look, when we went to tournaments, you fought, you won, you got a trophy. You took 1, 2, 3, you got a trophy. You didn't, you got a pat on the back.
Exactly.
Did you have to make the wrestling team?
Yeah, I mean,
yes, you had to make. Yes.
Let me tell you, and here, let me just talk about wrestling. Okay, when I was in school.
By the way, wrestling is a martial art.
Yes,
and so is boxing.
Yeah,
because here the thing is, when you're talking about martial art, what is martial? Martial's warring. Martial's combat. if you're wrestling, you're boxing, you're in combat.
It's a combat,
It's a combat art.
It's not all-encompassing combat art, but it's a
combat art. Well, neither is Taekwondo.
No, it's any of it.
Right.
None of them are, except for MMA. And yet
MMA.
they don't have certain things in MMA
Right.
that are encompassing.
Weapons.
There's no weapons and there's
Right.
no forms.
Right.
And I used to hate to do forms, but then I realized the value of them. And I'll tell you, I train my forms. I do 18 of them, and I do it at least once a week, just for my body, because I'm not as young as I used to be, and I'm not going to be fighting anymore. Hopefully, never. But but I keep in shape by doing the forms. But what were we talking about? I have had wrestling. Okay, here. When I was in school in high school in the 70s, we had a freshman team, full freshman team of wrestling, where we had wrestle-offs.
Right.
So we would have people wrestling off for 101. It was 101 then, 108, 115. I had to beat out 2 guys to make the freshman team.
To get that spot. Yeah.
To get that spot as a freshman. Now they can't even half these teams can't even field someone at that weight class. And then we had a full JV team. Everyone had JV records. They had JV tournaments, and then a varsity squad. And you had to fight for JV. You had to wrestle off to make the JV team. Now, gosh, I was coaching. Last time I coached high school wrestling was 2017, 2018 season. And, going into the matches at a 14 weight classes, if we had 5 JV matches, that was a lot. How embarrassing.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Wow.
So why have these types of activities been shunned by so many people?
When I went to high school in Brooklyn. There were 4,000 kids in my high school. So you had to make a team. I played baseball and football. You had to make the team. You couldn't invite everybody to the team. You had to make the team. Today, people are so when you do that, when you take away those goals and achieving those goals, that's mental.
Well, you see, it loses importance.
Yeah.
If you don't have to work for something, if you don't have to earn it, you're just handed it, you're just given it. It has
take
no
it for
value.
granted, right? Yeah.
And then it creates a sense of entitlement. And then when you don't get it, and then when you don't get it, you think there's something drastically wrong. And some of these kids can't handle it, so that they turn to drugs, suicide, SSRIs. They go to their therapist. And, these people are so quick to go and put them on a drug.
And medicate them,
Medicate them. Okay, now the kid is calm. You know what? I mean, I looked at, have you ever seen what the description of bipolar 2 is? The new one?
No.
Okay. Everyone's bipolar 2. Okay, I mean, I looked at it. I fit 97% of the profile. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you have mood swings. Sometimes you feel happy. Sometimes you feel bad. Sometimes okay. And one of the major things is that when you're doing something wrong, but you do it anyway. Okay. And then you feel guilty after. You know what? That's called being a jerk. And I've done it before, and I felt bad afterwards. I knew what I was doing wrong, but everything's got a label. Everything's got an excuse. Everything's got a reason to take a drug. So I don't know. I just don't buy it.
So how do we get over that first hurdle?
Yes, that's bringing it back. How do we get over that hurdle?
So I'm saying that one of the things I think that we need to do is recruit a panel and a representative from each different major martial art. And then
that's going to be a big panel.
That's going to be a big panel.
That's a real big panel.
Well, let's pick 2 grappling, 2 striking, or maybe more striking arts, and get representatives, a couple of representatives from each one. So we have our striking, our grappling, someone's like maybe a forms based or something, or one that has all of them in there, and it's got to be headed by someone who doesn't have a school.
Good point. Yeah.
Someone who does not have a school. Okay.
Or an affiliation to anyone. Yeah.
Any particular school. Like, you can't have, 37 people from, one of these big chain schools coming in, or like, there's tons of them. And, there's tons in jiu-jitsu, tons of stand-up, tons of MMA. So you have to have somebody who's not affiliated with the school as the commissioner of this. And then you have to set the precedent, set the commission up. And then after that, we have to bring that into the schools. And, we can, that is another way. You guys, what do you think about bringing something like that? Or do you want to add to that, subtract from that, change the concept there? Or?
That's the concept we tried though with Mel Klein.
Yeah, but we didn't have one person that was,
Mel.
except for Mel, but he was still in the business though.
Yeah, but he was not teaching.
He was not teaching.
No, he was in
So
supplies.
who do you think that person could be who is not a school owner, who is open-minded enough and involved enough to be able to take this to that level?
Me.
Phil for president.
I'll vote you in, Phil.
So, I don't have a school anymore. And, actually, you know what? This might be something I want to discuss with Nick Limbo. You know what Nick Limbo is?
No, I don't.
Nick Limbo is he runs MMA and kickboxing for the state of New Jersey. He's the state commissioner.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I know him. He's the state commissioner for it. So, that might be,
He would be a real good person to talk to.
Well,
Yeah.
He works with Larry.
Okay.
And I know Larry as well. Not very well, but enough to say, hey, what's up? It might be an idea, because this is something that we really
That's where it has to start.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's start at state level.
It has to start there certifying martial art instructors in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's a whole process for becoming a promoter and a corner in MMA in the professional level. Like amateur level doesn't really matter. You don't have to go through the process, but as a professional MMA coach or fighter, you have to go through a whole process.
Boxing coach too, right?
Boxing
you have to be
coach
USA. I'm a certified USA boxing coach.
So there's a curriculum and there's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this might be something that I could bring up to him. That would be.
It's strange how the martial arts is left out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the funny thing is that it's because of just these varying certifying organizations. Okay, if you look at personal training, okay, there's several major ones that are all NCCA certified. It's a National Commission on Certifying Agencies. Okay, so ACE is one of them.
Go.
Yeah, ACE is one of them. NASM's one. ISSA, ACSM. There's a NFPT. There's a whole bunch of them that are certified, recognized by this organization. So the thing is going to be setting up that particular organization. So
I mean, it's shocking. Connor was shocked when I told him that anybody can go buy a black belt in McGee and open up a martial arts school.
And no one says anything.
No one says anything.
Right. No one questions it.
There is no one to question it.
Right.
No.
Right. There is no one to question it. Yeah.
And this would also, I'm thinking about, I'm going next level now. If you're a martial arts instructor, right? You have a school. Okay. Now, when you get state certified and you're teaching 2 classes a week or 3 classes a week, whatever, in a junior high, high school, or elementary school, that's like state certified. How much would that help someone's business in the martial
Tremendous.
arts? Tremendously, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it needs to be done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Whether or not it goes into the school systems or not, that needs to be done.
Well, I think that's step one. Like
that has to happen.
You have to
the
have
school
it.
system will ask for it. How do you? That's going to be the first question they bring up.
First,
Exactly.
Yeah. Because the thing is that some of the schools do have self-defense. Like there are several schools that do My Survival Strong program, where I've introduced the system to several schools and certified the instructors in the area. I think 8 or 9 schools so far. And then I also teach it at Bergen Community. I teach it to the college students and also to the Applied Technologies high school students. And I've trained other people that do the same thing now too, which is kind of cool. So, we have that going, but I think that we need to take a step further and actually do the martial arts aspect. Again, martial arts encompasses many different things that can help a lot of kids with this focus, discipline, realizing that, contact is contact. You punch someone in the nose on a video, like, so what? You don't feel anything. You get cracked in the nose in your dojo,
All of a sudden, that's the wake-up call. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there are martial arts schools that allow that and that don't, right? There are traditional martial arts schools that minimal contact, if any. But then they got the combat sports like wrestling, sambo,
Right.
Judo, boxing, kickboxing. It's part of it.
Yeah. I think that we probably would have to have one that focuses more on the non-contact aspect or the light contact aspects, the later contact aspects, because, you have to get it to the general population. And the general population they're not athletes or martial arts or combat athletes like we are.
To go to that level.
Right.
Yeah,
A lot of them don't want to be banged up. They got to go to work. They don't want their kids banged up.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that go into
That's
that.
why they don't have them play football, right? They don't want them to get banged up.
Right. But there are so many other things that we could get that we could, that would benefit them with the martial arts. Hey, you know what? Heck, learning to think in a pattern for forms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, the forms have their place. Yeah. I mean, are they an end all be all? Absolutely not.
No.
But you know what though? It's great. It's a great workout. Great way to practice your techniques. Just remember the movements and do them. So, and I think that that's something else that needs to be delved into. Because
everybody should be able to produce a lineage to some kind of, if they're going to teach martial arts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I have a first degree in Nisei Goju, second. Okay.
Where did that
where did that
originate from?
So who gave me that, and where did they get it? You know what I mean?
Right.
That should be everybody, right? They have to have that.
Have to have. Yeah, it's got to come from
Yeah.
somewhere.
If it's nowhere, and no one's willing to say, like my brother, there's a school in his neighborhood down by Monroe Township.
Yeah.
And he was watching it through the window, and the instructor happened to come out, and my brother, during the conversation, asked him 3 times, "Who was your instructor?" Each time,
Hey, got redirected.
They redirected. and then you go to his website, and there's no listing of his lineage.
Wow.
So his school was packed. My brother said, packed with kids and adults. Packed, he said. So now, do you question that? Do you at least question that? Should somebody be able to question somebody who has an authority and
some responsibility?
Somebody question that? Maybe he'll produce it, but I don't know. But should somebody be able to question that? Or should he just be able to go on doing it?
Doing what he does, yeah.
And then the next person does it.
Right,
just goes and buys a black belt, opens up.
The funny thing is that as a martial artist, I used to really, when I had my school, it used to really bother me when I'd see these clowns who, could barely do anything, and they'd have packed classes. And if you say something against them, well, it makes you look bad. Like, oh yeah, you're just a hater.
You're the bad guy, right?
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm pointing out something. Listen, I know where I got my black belts. I know who I got them from and what systems.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's that.
And that's it, right? And what's wrong with that?
Right.
That's honesty.
And I know that when we went to jiu-jitsu tournaments, we'd come away with a lot of medals.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to sparring tournaments, we came away with a lot of trophies.
A lot of trophies,
Okay?
yes.
So it works. And when I had to use self-defense, I'm still standing here. I'm still alive. So I know that worked.
Yeah.
So what more do you want? Except when I see somebody, I'm looking through a window, and you have someone who's a black belt, can't break one board on a front kick. I'm like, really?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And like I said, there's a.
That's the wrong kind of wood.
They're holding it the wrong way.
Yeah, that grain on the wood there. Come on.
There is USA Boxing that certifies
Yes.
boxing instructors in the country, right? But is the public even aware of it? Like you and I have met boxing people, right? You were standing next to me.
Oh yeah.
When somebody said he was a boxing instructor, and I started to try to have a conversation, and it wasn't happening, right?
No, and
it wasn't happening. Like, where'd you box? Wasn't happening, the conversation. So now, even in boxing, what I'm trying to say is, in boxing, you got somebody out there teaching boxing, coaching boxing, and the public doesn't know to ask, "Are you USA Boxing certified?" Boxing?
Right.
They don't know to ask that question.
Yeah. So,
and he can still be doing it. He does it. So even though there's USA Boxing, do they actually go out
and check? And yeah.
Like I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. They've gone to schools and challenged Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah,
They've challenged them. Which I think is a great thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But it doesn't happen with boxing or martial arts. It doesn't happen
because BJJ. I mean, you have to prove it on the mat, just like wrestling.
Yeah, just like wrestling.
I mean, and judo.
Judo's the same thing too. Yeah.
You got to prove it on the mat.
Right. Yeah.
But unfortunately, with a lot of these stand-up arts, you have to prove nothing.
No, but nobody's going to even judo. And I think judo has an association, right?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
But they're not going to judo schools either and saying, let me see a certificate. Or
Right.
Where'd you train? Who was your instructor? So, it's proliferated throughout the martial arts community. This is that people are there. I have to guess there are a lot of people out there who really aren't qualified teaching boxing, teaching Taekwondo.
There's probably a lot more than we realize. Yeah, and no disrespect to anybody, and I'm not saying we're the end all be all, but it's
they should check me too.
It's the truth.
All of us, right?
I have no problem disrespecting them because they're disrespecting the arts.
You're right, Phil. You're right.
Yeah, so
you're right.
I'll disrespect them because you don't deserve respect. Respect is something that's earned.
It's earned. It's not given.
I know that everyone. Well, I don't know about you, Connor. Other than your world championships, everyone in this room I know has competed and used their skills for real. And
Plus,
I know their backgrounds.
I welcome my background to be
right.
Right.
Go look at it. Anything.
I'm proud of my background. For me to say I train with Rich Faustini, and I mean, it's like, I can't wait to tell people that,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
They got to stop you from telling people. But it should be like a resume.
I walk out my front door in the morning and I scream it.
Yeah.
He's right. It's your martial arts resume.
Yeah.
And I have no problem showing somebody my martial
Yeah.
arts.
No, it's embarrassing if you hide it and deflect and change the conversation. Because the general public, if I started, I'll be new to it. I would think to ask, but I don't think most people know to ask. Are you certified? Are you?
No.
Are you
what
there?
people do ask is, what degree are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that really mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
You open up your own system. You're gonna after a while promote yourself to a certain level of degree.
Right.
I don't have any problem with that. As long as your own system, you created it. I don't have
Right.
any problem with that. So really, what does the degree mean?
Right.
I don't know. When I had my own gym, Mike, I told Phil the story. We were mixed martial arts, like Phil, long before mixed martial arts came out. Because that's my background. I was boxing when I was 15. I was doing karate. So.
And then you started wrestling.
Then I started doing some wrestling.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So we had a variety of people in the room, combined of a lot of wrestlers in my school, a lot of boxers and stuff. But we didn't do standard stuff. We didn't do katas and stuff. Not that I have anything against katas. I think they have their place. But so the woman comes in and she sits down with her 15-year-old. So I didn't teach kids. I only taught 15 years
and older. Yeah.
The first question she asked me is, how long is it going to take my son to get a black belt? Not what's your qualifications? Can I watch a class?
Right.
But, so that's what she said. So, I reached behind me and there was a black belt there and I took it and I threw it at him. I said, here, give it to him. Now, what do you want to do with that? She just looked at me stunned. And I said, You know what? There's another school about a mile that way and a mile that way. I think that's where you should be going. And you can take that black belt.
That's so funny.
That's because people, that's what they want.
Oh, yeah.
So some people they don't care to know.
No, it's a bucket list item.
Exactly.
They want the belts.
Exactly.
They want to say they're a black belt.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's many schools that would just go and say, oh, here's my black belt program, pay you $5,000, $6,000, whatever it is, you're guaranteed a black belt. So of course it behooves the schools to push them through quickly because they can get them to the next level.
Into the next, right. Yeah.
It's funny. A number of years ago, I had this dad come in. He had 3 kids. And they were, I think the oldest was 7. 2 of them were black belts. Okay, I know. And so, yeah, man, my kids are black belts over there was a school around the corner, but we wanted to come train with you and da-da-da-da-da. And it says that I go, well, how long have you been training? Oh, 2.5 years. And this one's a black belt, and this one's this, and this one's that. I go, those belts aren't going to fly here. That's just not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you, I'll test them out. I'll put them at a level, and we're going to take it from there.
And go from there, yeah.
Yeah, but there's no way they're black belts. Now, listen, they can do whatever they got. They can, I'm not taking it from them. But you know what? You're not wearing that on my floor. Because if you have to fight, God forbid you have to fight one of my black belts, you're going to get hammered.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I don't give a black belt to a kid. That's a junior black belt.
Right.
And by the way, no one 7 years old is getting a black belt from me. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen in our system.
I think I told you the story also of one guy came into my school and he watched the class and he said, after he said, all due respect, and he was very respectful. He said, but can I spar with you guys at the end of class?
Yeah.
And we went live. We were live. Said, sure, because he was respectful. He says, I'm only asking because I've been training 10 years with, I'm not going to mention the instructor.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to see if you guys look like, and he went out there and guys were training with me 2 years, kicked his butt, And he said to me, I wasted 10 years. And I said, no, don't look at it that way. We just have to modify some things. I said, if you're interested in joining, he joined. To his credit, he stayed, and he did well.
That's awesome.
But there's a guy who came and watched, and he realized,
Takes a lot of guts for someone to do that.
Yeah, it really does.
Takes a lot of guts.
It really does.
But he spent 10 years, and a lot of money,
Yeah.
and he got his black belt.
Of course he did.
Paid
for it.
So, it depends on, like Mike said, some of them it's a bucket list.
Yeah.
That lady was definitely just for her kid. She wanted to be able to go to tell, I guess, her neighbors or her friends, my son has a black belt, Yeah. That was the most important thing.
It's like a trophy.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's exactly it.
It's another trophy. Another trophy put on the mantle. Yeah. Oh, Sally's a black belt. Johnny's a black belt.
So that's the first step, is getting that. Then the second step is going to be what Mike said, budget, the school budget. So I think the way around the school, if you make it part of like a phys ed curriculum, it's got to be a different budget than if it was a team. Yes. So perhaps it has to be introduced as a team sport, where schools compete against one another, just like they do in wrestling.
Right.
And then it'd have to have a season, though.
Season.
Yeah.
Well, it could be overlap a wrestling season or some season. Yeah. I mean,
we're going to lose all the wrestlers.
Could be. So you don't. Basketball season. Soccer season.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because if you introduce it as part of the phys ed program, now they're going to have to get budget for it. A team budgeted differently, isn't it? Through the sports program, through the athletic side.
I don't know, Phil. I guess you would know better on that.
Yeah, there is a budget, and there's a budget allocated for different activities like that, after school activities, sports teams,
right? Because they also have booster clubs, right?
Booster clubs, and so forth. The only thing that when we start then competing in teams is that I think it's going to exclude a lot of kids, and I think
but they don't have to compete.
Yeah. Oh, but I say the main thrust will be if it's something they have to do, like you brought up, people join the military for 2 years, they have to do it. Well, they have to do the martial arts. So if it's an after school activity, if it's in phys ed, they have to do it. And you know what? There's enough budget in these towns to do this. And besides, if you look at it, like many martial artists would love to go and teach in a school
system,
especially when that's a dead time for a lot of martial arts schools. It's like the daytime is a dead time. They may have some people who have kind of weird schedules and training, but they can work around that.
Yeah.
And then it would be a great selling point for the martial artist to say, hey, I'm in the school district.
Okay. So maybe you're right about the budget. So now the third thing, so first the certification is right. How do you
That's gonna be a huge one.
That's a huge one. Then the budget, then it's consistency.
Yeah.
You can't be teaching something different at public
that's
school.
What I have two points, and that was one of them.
Well,
that's interesting. Yes.
I think that should be addressed in the setting up the curriculum when you get certified. You have to know X amount of movements. Like, everyone has to know, striking. Here's all different strikes you have to know. Here you have to know X amount of takedowns. You have to know X amount of submissions.
So is it going to be martial arts for self-defense, or is it going to be? See, it can't be traditional martial arts because then there's going to be inconsistency.
Right.
Well, if we don't have the competing aspect in it anymore, then it can go so many different levels.
Right. You can have martial arts,
different directions.
Yeah.
Not necessarily levels.
Yeah. So
martial arts for self-defense. Then,
right.
And then you're mixing stuff in. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it might be more difficult to add forms in, but then again, the forms could be something that is particular to a school system. Like if someone has a Nisei Goju, they have X amount of forms. If they have a Taekwondo based system, that's their instructors Taekwondo, so he can teach those forms. So the forms don't really matter, I think, as far as what forms you're doing. But as long as there's something available for the kids who,
Again, but I think it has to be consistent because like all phys ed teachers have to teach the same curriculum, right? No matter what public school they're in,
actually,
right?
no. There are some things they do have to teach, but a lot of them can teach other things. Like here, I just as far as phys ed goes, I trained both Ridgewood and Mawa in functional training. How many schools have that?
Oh, that was after hours, right?
No,
That was
I
during
taught.
PA?
Yeah. I certified them in the body bell method, where they learned some kettlebells, body weight. They're 2-day certifications. I trained their phys ed teachers. So not every school has that. So they can have different units. That's a cool thing about this as well, because some schools have, maybe they'll have like swimming. Okay. Not everyone has a pool, but it's still part of phys ed.
Right.
And some of them can have like rope climbing or, the project adventure kind of stuff, some of them have, there's not a standard for that though. So it is something that could vary from school to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess so you talk about the school, the martial arts school that goes, or the instructor goes into the school system. They have to be accredited.
Right.
And it's going to be some type of certification. So I guess the certification wouldn't necessarily, okay, so I'm just thinking out loud. So you got a judo player, you got a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, you got a Kali guy, you got a Taekwondo guy, you got a boxer, you got all these different arts. The boxer doesn't do the groundwork. The guy in the ground doesn't do boxing. The guy in the middle does Kali, doesn't do any of that. He does his thing. So what would certification?
I got another idea. Just hit me as you talking about that. There could be different stuff at different grade levels.
I mean, high school different than.
Yeah, well, here you could say, this unit we're doing, we're doing ground fighting, and then another time, we're doing striking. This segment is self-defense. This one is forms, and you could kind of program it out like that. And they could be at different ages, different grades, different times of the year, where we focus on different aspects of the martial arts. Each one of those aspects brings something different to the martial arts program.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And I think what you're bringing, what we're realizing is coming out, this is going to be one complex.
One
challenging thing to get done.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we'll start out this big and then whittle it down.
Yeah.
And then focus on different areas, but maintaining the goal in mind of getting martial arts and the martial discipline and the mindset
in the school system.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you.
That's the most important thing.
Some of the countries like Korea or Japan, do they have martial arts in the schools?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
They do.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. That is part of their phys ed requirement, is learning that martial art.
And one of the things, the Oriental culture is, it's general. The kids grow up with respect.
Yes.
With with dedication, with drive, with all the other things you want, right? You want to put in there.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's it's something that that all of us have adopted. We've all adopted that philosophy. Of the discipline, the goal orientation, the respect, the honor. Because let me tell you something. You guys know this. How many times you see, let's just take fighters. You have fighters and, maybe they're like Conor McGregor, like jawing before the fight, right? And then after it, they hug each other.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to sell the fight.
Right, he's just trying to sell the fight. Right,
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali. Right?
They're selling the event. Yeah, right.
And then, but after the fight, they have this respect for each other. I'll tell you, you don't have respect for someone when you just played a video game with them. I mean, it's nothing. The thing is that and here's another major difference. They play these video games. They waste all this time and energy, right? After 10 years of playing a video game, what do you have to show?
What's the accomplishment?
Yeah,
nothing. You've accomplished nothing.
What belt is that?
Right. After 10 years of training in the martial arts, if you train in a good martial art and you put effort in, heck, you're in good shape and you know how to defend yourself. And you've developed discipline. You've developed
that self-discipline to be able to.
You want to talk about self-esteem? You want to talk about self-esteem? And self-esteem is not, little Johnny or Allie gets a new belt every 30 seconds. They turn around. No, they tried at something. They failed. They tried again, they failed. They tried again, they succeeded. That's what builds
That's what
self-esteem. And the thing is that, everyone is afraid to fail.
Well, it's, Phil, it's, my students, they come into the school, between baseball, soccer, all these sports they play. And I'm not talking down about any of this. There's, you win, you lose, you win, you lose, you win, you lose. I tell my students, when you're in school taking a test, you're on the baseball field, don't worry about the win. Don't worry about getting an A. Worry about doing the best job you can. Worry about being focused. Worry about putting everything you have into it. So that when you walk away from that, win, lose, pass, or fail, you could say one thing: I gave it my all.
Right.
And that's what it's about. And when they're so concerned about winning and they're so concerned about succeeding, you can't perform.
Well, you know what?
Your head is.
No, that's when players go into slumps. Baseball players go into slumps.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty. When I play guitar, I'm there. I mean, and I have to take my own advice and be like, Mike, calm down.
Yeah, my daughter was a super softball player in New Jersey.
Oh,
she was
sorry,
in high school, and she went into a slump, and got to her head. Just exactly what you're saying, got into it because she was so. Well, she didn't hit well for a while, and then she was expecting to be she always a home run leader and everything.
Right, and all of a sudden now she's
and to get him out of it was very
it's very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We discuss a lot of stuff in mindset training with Z Mindset. So here, people say, "Oh, how'd you do?" The wrestling tournament, right? So how'd you do? And immediately people think of wins and losses.
Yes. Oh, I won. I
took third
lost.
place. I won. No. How'd you do? Well, I wrestled well. Okay. Oh, did you win or lose? I wrestled well. Okay. You want to think of how did you perform?
That's a great point. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, I've had matches where I've lost and wrestled fantastically, and just happened to, I just didn't have the numbers on the scoreboard at the end. I was down a couple points, whatever it was. And then I've had ones where I've won and competed like garbage, but I got my hand raised at the end.
Right.
So, and everyone falls into that.
Yeah. And to Mike's point again, the way I got my daughter out of that was she was starting to slow up her swing just to meet the ball, right? Just to hit the ball. And and she was striking out. I mean, really,
wow.
In a bad slump.
Yeah.
And this is a girl who led New Jersey in home runs at one time, in her career, all in New Jersey. And I said to her, you know what, Kellyanne? I don't care if you strike out every time. Just swing as hard as you can. Keep your head on the ball and swing through it. I don't care if you strike out every time at bat. All of a sudden, she started.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
It's mental.
Yeah.
And
it's
that
all
mental
aspect.
It's 90% half mental.
Yeah.
According to Yogi Berra.
And what you said before is like, I like to, if you have a good martial, I always go back and have to say, if you have a good martial arts instructor, it's very similar to the military.
Yes.
And here's the other thing you get out of it. When I went up for black belt in Nisei Goju, I think I was a 26th black belt, I want to say. Frank Ruiz and Harry Rosenstein, who formed Nisei Goju. And, there were guys who I know, Louis Delgado, Ronnie Van Cleef, all these guys. Owen Watson. They were all top-notch black belts in Nisei Goju. And it was 6 degrees, and I was just going for my first degree. But we had Latinos, we had Italians, we had blacks, we had Jews, we had Irish, and we all were brothers.
That's
exactly what happens in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you talk to Marines, they say, that's my fellow Marine.
Right.
That's my brother Marine.
Yep.
That's not, they don't look at he's black or
no.
This is another thing you learn from the martial arts.
Yes.
Which is desperately needed in this country right now.
Yep.
Desperately.
My friends from my life come from my martial arts and wrestling. And you know what? None of us ever think about color. You know what?
Ethnic
we
don't care. None of that. Yeah.
We could care less. It's just, you know what? That's a brother in martial arts. That's a fellow wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of those things because that's one thing that brings us together. That commonality. It's so funny because you talk about tribalism, right? Because a lot of this I think that racism is falsely attributed to tribalism. And I'll tell you this: no matter what someone's skin tone is, when they're in a UFC fight, who do you think I'm gravitating to with their background? What is it? I gravitate toward the wrestler.
Yeah.
That's
right. It has nothing to do. Right. Yeah.
I'm like, wrestling's a very tight community.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm focusing. I want the wrestler to win.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's the number one thing I care about Is he a wrestler? Then, of course, well, first USA, then wrestler. But I want from my country, and I want to be a wrestler.
And,
nothing else matters. If they're not that, well, then jiu-jitsu or boxing. What kind of background does you have there? So, things like that, and it goes down the hierarchy, but it has nothing to do with color. And I'll tell you, that's what happens when you share the trenches with someone, right? That's your brother. You ever talk to any the team's members, like SEAL team stuff like that's their brother.
That's
You respect them. You learn to respect them.
Yes,
and that's missing.
That is missing. And the martial arts give you that, because if you have someone next to you sweating, trying, straining, failing, succeeding, helping you,
you're both in this together. Yeah,
right. And that forms an incredible bond. You don't get a bond pressing buttons on a computer screen. Okay,
Nope.
Doesn't happen.
Right, and same thing when you play football. When I played football, it was all mixed.
Oh yeah,
everybody on a football team in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's all mixed.
Yep.
And I had friends who didn't matter. We were all together on that football team trying to make it happen. We were friends, on and off the field. Once we became friends in football training, it carried over.
Right,
still friends off the football field.
Exactly,
it spills over into the rest of your daily life.
So these are some of the things. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you guys on the podcast, because these are all things that have to get out there and have to be brought up. And I'll tell you, martial arts addresses all this stuff.
Yes,
and we have to really make a move to get it into
a lot of schools are starting to incorporate, because I just thought of this now, because my wife is a certified yoga instructor. A lot of schools are starting to incorporate yoga now into their classroom, because it's adding that component that we're talking about, that mental component that they're not getting from all these other sports. So I guess the question is, maybe the martial arts certification, maybe this whole program we're talking about might mimic a yoga type curriculum.
Well, because because
certification or whatever we call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a lot of different strains of yoga.
Yeah,
all different stuff. So I'm actually going to call Nick Limbo on.
And the yoga part, I just know from me taking yoga, because I've taken yoga with quite a few different people.
Which flavor? I like cherry vanilla the best.
Raspberry. Greek yogurt with raspberry swirl. But it's the attachment, like Joe was saying, it's the instructor,
right?
When that 100%. Instructor speaks to the people in the classroom, not just verbally, but just compassionately, and that's really what makes the difference.
Yeah, even in your school, when you had your school, right? You had all different ethnic backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
But they were proud to be there.
Oh yeah.
They were proud to have American Eagle on the back of their. And that,
it was an honor to have,
and that makes a huge difference. That's now camaraderie.
Yes, right. And that's another thing that's missing is camaraderie.
Camaraderie, yeah.
You don't get that. You don't get that playing, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that's shared experience. That's not it.
Yeah,
see, we're a melting pot in this country, right? You go to Russia, and they're all Russian, so right away they have a commonality, right away. Then they start practicing sambo in the military. I think they all have to go into the military in Russia, right?
Yes.
So there's another. So by the time they're 30 years old, I mean, these, they all love each other. These people, you know what I mean? They have such a closeness, not just from their ethnic background, but here we're a melting pot. We have a lot of different cultures. Somehow we got to bring. And that's what the military does. It brings it
all together.
And makes it patriotic, and that's.
But here's something that I, when you brought that up, just hit something in my head about the ethnicity of different countries. So I've been to Brazil a few times, spent several weeks there, and at different stints. And one thing that I noticed is that Brazilians come from all over, just like America. We have some that come from Japan, some from Italy, Germany, Africa, right? Wherever, wherever they got Portugal, right? And you know what? They don't call themselves, I'm an African Brazilian. I'm a Japanese Brazilian. I'm an Italian Brazilian. You know what they call themselves? Brazilians. So you know what? The thing that we have to start.
Only in this country.
It's only in this country that we do this identification, these little check boxes, identity, politics, and so forth. And that stuff has to go.
Yeah, all these segregated.
It's got to go. It's got to go.
Yeah,
It's got to go. We're one country. And the last time I really felt that was after 9/11.
Yeah.
I said to a friend you brought that up, Phil. Literally last week I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said to him, we were talking about how we're not unified anymore. And I said, I wish there was not another 9/11. I wish there was another 9/12.
Yeah.
The day after,
That's
everybody became one.
Right. Yep.
And it was just, I mean, I got chills just saying that.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't
That's
exist
what
anymore.
World War II did.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's a shame that something that horrific has to happen for people to come together.
They just did a poll. I don't know if you saw the poll. It was really.
Oh yeah.
Did you see it?
I'll throw up.
No.
So in a generation, I think it was broken up by age groups. So age group, what was it, 35 to 65 or 40 to or older?
Yeah.
70%, 75% patriotic.
Proud to be American.
Proud to be American. When you go below
30,
30, when you go below 30, 70%
Don't. It's like
non-patriotic.
Wow.
They don't care.
it's just horrific what's going
It's
on
really bad.
because we're being taught that our country is bad.
It's bad.
Okay, and if it's so bad, then why are people are risking death to get in here?
To come here? Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. So we and the thing is that what's so important is that we have freedom here. And people want this freedom, but freedom can be taken away.
And it's not free.
And it's not free.
And it's not free.
People give their lives for those freedom.
Yep.
They
That's
give
right.
their limbs and their lives.
Yep.
And and that's another thing that's forgotten often. I mean, these guys and men and women who give their lives and give their limbs.
And talking about that stuff, there's a lot of things that you can give to. I have several that I support. But you got the 9/11 fund, Tower to Tower. You got the Marine Corps fund. You got all these different funds that help out the families of people affected. So you should definitely get involved in that.
My dad used to practically come to tears when he used to say, "This is not what we fought for. This is not the." And my friend Steve McDonough, who's former Marine,
yeah.
He sent me a video of a 100-year-old Marine. This is recently, and he started crying. The Marine saying, "This is." The country that I see today is not what we all fought for and died for. Those men around, died for it.
His buddy's falling.
It's coming apart unless we start to do some things about it.
Today's generation or the generation of today, they think, and in some respects, it's true. I have the right, I have the freedom to say and believe, and okay, I won't disagree with that. But why do you have that right? It's because of all those people behind you. So don't displace that. And if you wouldn't have that right to say what you just said if it wasn't for them.
Right.
So don't make yourself so righteous.
You see, there's a well, I'm not going to get off on a tangent a little bit, but there's a I don't have any problem with liberals or conservatives.
No, neither do I now.
I'm probably closer to the right, but I'm not far right.
Mm-hmm.
I have problem with far right, far left. When you get radical, that's where the problems come.
That's not good.
And there's too many radical influences in this country right now.
Yeah.
There is media that's given off opinion rather than fact. They're supposed to report facts without opinion.
Right.
And they're doing opinion without facts. So now it becomes political. And same thing with teachers.
Yeah.
And now you're influencing young people.
Right.
And that's what's going on in this country. That's why you get a survey like that.
Yeah.
Where it comes out 70%.
I had 6, 7, 8-year-olds in my school. Not this election, prior election, without getting into politics. Kids before class, they're all talking. And one kid starts talking about Hillary Clinton. The other kid goes, "You shouldn't vote for her. She's a criminal." And I stopped the conversation and I said,
So you're right.
Number one, I said, number one, you're too young to vote. You can't vote. I said, where did you hear that? And then the other kid starts yelling back about how Donald Trump is. And I said to the kids, I sat them down. I said, listen. I said, where did you hear this from? My school teachers. I hear this from other parents, from my coach. And then they look at me and they're like, Sensei Mike, who are you going to vote for? I said, that's irrelevant who I'm going to vote for. I said, I'd be happy to tell you, but I'm not going to choose a side, and neither should you unless you've done your homework. And the best way for you to make a decision is by doing your homework and understanding the facts and not just listening to what one other person or two other people tell you because that's their opinion.
But they don't do that.
No.
They don't do that.
No.
I couldn't believe it. 8-year-old kids.
I mean, I try. Yeah, I know. So that I guess that's for another day.
Yeah.
But,
That's the whole other.
So we got enough on our plate trying to get this martial arts thing going. So I'm going to contact them, and then we're going to take some action.
And count me in. I'll
okay.
do
Awesome.
whatever you need, Phil.
Guys,
Definitely.
Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for being our producer today there, Conor McGregor.
Oh, you got it.
And yeah, so time for us to thank the audience, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Master Phil in Your Corner. We'll see you next time.
Strength and honor.